Welcome back. It's the second episode of Niki Gets Bored. You know, if some of you keep watching me, I'll need a nickname to call you. Please, I don't want you to worry about me. I am not going to hold my breath. If it does happen, let's come up with a fun name. Write it in the comments what you'd like followers and fans of Niki Gets Bored to be called. What fun. I'm excited you're back because today we get to learn about the Plague of Justinian. We return to Rome. It's been about 400-ish years since the Antonine Plague we learned about last time. Let's see if our Roman ancestors learned anything about containing or fixing an outbreak. Spoiler, they don't. But first, let's go back to our graph of plagues made by these people. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing wrong with the information here, but we should discuss some differences. We learned about the Antonine Plague. This scale only uses the first outbreak. We learned about the second outbreak too. Between the two, the death toll was 70 million. That would make the Antonine Plague ball just a little bigger than the smallpox ball, and it should be between the smallpox and bubonic plague. For today's subject, the Plague of Justinian, the ball is the right size, but the date is a bit off. It says this took place over 1 year. No outbreak that I've heard of lasts just 1 year. I hope we'll learn more of how long outbreaks can last. But a year? Incredulous Ice Boogers, no, it's just not believable. The year listed here was the peak year of infection, so it's not wrong, but needed discussing. The Plague of Justinian was named after Emperor Justinian I. He was the leader of the Byzantine Empire. Now, if you're thinking, Niki, you just said this happens in Rome. Thank you. I did say that. I was confused too. Sometimes you have to learn something in order to learn something. So if you'll allow me a sidebar, and of course, you have no choice. Long before Justinian, Rome used to be huge. It got so big it was too hard to control. It was split into two empires, and two co-rulers each took a half. We know the west side was weakened by the Antonine Plague. By the time of the Plague of Justinian, the west side was gone. Not gone. It just wasn't Rome anymore. The east side was still kicking, and its capital was, wait for it, Byzantine. Were you expecting something else? I mean, I'm explaining the Byzantine Empire here. The city of Byzantine is popular in America today, but we know it by a different name. Byzantine has been called several names, including Constantinople and Istanbul. Be careful calling it Byzantine and Constantinople, though. It's Istanbul now. Why did its name keep changing? Got it on good authority from a group of mighty giants that it's no one's business but the Turks. Thank you for my sidebar. Okay, the Plague of Justinian happened from 527 to 565 CE, but it continued to pop up, killing people until 750 CE. That's 223 years. 223 years? Did I say it lasted 223 years? Does that mean we'll have COVID-19 pop up as outbreaks for that long? Oh my goodness, it might. The death toll was 30 to 50 million people. It killed 40% of people in the city of Byzantine and about 25% of all the Byzantine Empire. That's so many. The Antonine Plague took 70 million, but that number is from both the west and east sides of Rome. Now it's just the east we are talking about, and the number is 50 million. Which reminds me, 120 million people have died now to teach us about outbreaks. Don't let their deaths be in vain. Rome was dealing with way more than plague at the time. A volcano erupted. We don't know exactly when or where, but it affected the entire northern hemisphere, causing a decades-long cold front in Rome and around the globe. So for decades, that's plural, friends, Rome didn't have the right weather to grow crops. People were hungry with very little to eat. Historians believe it played a major part either in bringing about the plague or keeping the plague around for so long. Let me repeat that. Climate change may have brought the plague. It definitely made it stay longer. The plague supposedly came from China. Dang it, China! No, it actually wasn't China's fault. Trade was huge at the time, and things came from the Spice Road, the Silk Road, and all the other roads that aren't technically roads. I mean, all roads led to Rome, so Rome had to be doomed. Many of the roads were actually by sea. Ships came from all over, bringing trade goods and death. So much death that the dead were gathered and disposed of in mass graves, or loading a bunch into a building, and they either abandoned the building or they set it on fire. They also placed bodies on boats, caught the boats on fire, and sent them to sea. And when I say bodies, it wasn't just humans. This took out animals too. So Spots, Dukes, Rovers, Mr. Whiskers, Mr. Eds, Clarabelles, and Lamberts, all dead. Archaeologists have found some of these mass graves, and DNA shows us that what was killing everyone was Yersinia pestis, otherwise known as the bubonic plague. It's spread by ship and trade routes and yada yada yada. People, it was spread by rats. It should be called Rodentia pestis. Technically, it's the fleas on the rats that was the issue, but let's blame the rats. They loved boats. They would get into the grain supply where it was nice and warm. They could eat all they want, and they could make all the whoopee they want and have babies right there on the boats. Fun fact, rats don't roam much further than 200 feet from where they are born. Within that 200-foot space were plenty of boats and carts to get aboard. When they climbed into the supply carts for war, they got moved further inland, spreading Rodentia, that's all right, I mean Yersinia pestis, all over. Yersinia pestis is a bacteria that infects animals. It's called bubonic plague because victims get swollen lymph nodes called buboes. Buboes. Isn't that the cutest name for something horrible? I'm going to name my dog Buboes. Sir Pugsley. Sir Buboes Pugsly. He's been knighted because he's sworn fealty to me. Since buboes are pus-filled swollen bumps, you can either think of Sir Buboes Pugsly or buboes. Buboes, actual buboes. Buboes, actual buboes. The choice is yours. There are 3 types of Yersinia pestis. There's the one we keep talking about, bubonic. Bubonic causes buboes, delusions, nightmares, fever, swelling behind the ears, in the groin, and the armpits. Wherever you have a lymph node, you get swole. We've got septicemic, when the bacteria gets into your blood. Same horrible symptoms as bubonic, but you get to add dying skin and dying muscles. Last is pneumonic, when the infection gets in your lungs. Once it's in your lungs, you can spread it by air. It spread fast, and there was no fixed time for death. Healthy young people mostly lived. Emperor Justinian I was one who got it and lived, but the victims would sometimes die in a matter of hours, or they could suffer for days, even weeks, in a delusion state, or even in a coma before dying. Do you remember Galen, the doctor that left us such good information about the Antonine Plague? Well, he trained someone to be a doctor, who trained someone else to be a doctor, who trained someone else who may have trained one other person who then trained Procopius. Procopius is the doctor whose writings we have to tell us what they did to stop the illness. That's pretty cool. Galen kind of made his legacy continue through generations just by teaching successors. Procopius and Galen were all about treating people using humor medicine. And that doesn't mean they used laughter as the best medicine. It means something totally different. If you want to learn about it, I suggest a podcast called Sawbones. It's a funny show, and the episode you want is The Four Humors that aired February 25th, 2015. I'm not waiting, though. You're smart people. You can figure it out. There were two ways people treated this. They could go to the hospital or use a home remedy. The sick could go to the hospital, but that meant quarantining and never being let out. You'd go there to die, not get better. People used home remedies, including cold baths, blessed powders, amulets, and alkaloid drugs. I looked up alkaloids. They are any natural substance, usually plants, that contain nitrogen. You'll be familiar with a few like opium, morphine, and everyone's favorite, coffee. Justinian the First got sick but was young and healthy, so he got better. Then he went right back to trying to expand Rome's borders and, of course, spreading Yersinia pestis all over. It's like a broken record. Forget the people. We need more land. So Justinian kept taxes as high as they ever were before, even though he had a fourth of his people were dead. His army was getting punier and punier, and there weren't people to force into the army this time. Invaders started taking over Italy and Africa. Between the cold front, almost no food, Yersinia pestis, not being able to fill the army, and an emperor that couldn't stop expanding long enough to see how bad of an idea it was to go to war, the Byzantine Empire was set to fall. What have we learned from this? Stop going to war already. Geez, just stop. Just because you are young and healthy doesn't mean you should treat everyone else like they will have the same symptoms or outcome as you. When your people are hurting and can't work, give them some monetary relief. Don't make them pay more or force them to fight. Morphine. Morphine will not cure a bacterial infection, but I bet it makes living with one more fun. That was a joke. Don't do drugs. Teaching others can lead to your own legacy. How about make sure you treat your pet rats for fleas? Climate change increases the likelihood of having a plague and prolonging it. We should really be concerned about climate change. If we keep working to be one planet instead of 195 countries, we'll get all the germs and bacteria out in the open, and then we can cure them all. Health and prosperity, people. Let's do this. Okay, I'm tapped. If you think of anything fun or useful you've learned from this episode, please tell us in the comments. It's the part of the show where Niki reads you a silly poem about the Plague of Justinian. When Yersinia pestis comes to infect us, the people all get swole. Not with muscles for a quick tussle. Nope, the people get buboes. The young and strong came out alive. The rest of the people tried to survive. Justinian the First wanted Rome to thrive. Yersinia pestis then went on a drive. It spread throughout the Byzantine Empire. The dead were burned on funeral pyres. How can we live, the people thus discussed, when Yersinia pestis comes to infect us? That is the end of the show. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Next episode, we are going to revisit smallpox, but we get to leave Rome. We're heading east. Remember that I love you, all of you, because everyone is worthy of love. Go out and show a stranger some love today, and then come back to visit next time Niki gets bored. Hi, everyone. Thanks for sticking around for an update. So I talked last time about recording my voice, because eventually I'll lose my voice. So instead of a mechanical computer voice, I will have a voice that sounds a little more like mine, which is fantastic. So I wanted to show you the start of that process, which is recording your voice. So if you look at my computer here, this is called Model Talker, and it will record sentences. So I will go in and hit a sentence to record, like this one, and this guy will talk in beautiful English with great pronunciation and dictation. I'm envious. So here is what the machine guy sounds like.
He began to whirl round and dance.
And then once I record, which takes forever, it'll tell me if I did well on speed, pronunciation, dictation, and if I get greens or just one yellow, I'm allowed to proceed. So if you go over to MB, here's what I sound like.
He began to whirl round and dance.
Or if we do the scarecrow one,
it would be easy to give the scarecrow brains.
Well, that's my voice. And then what we will be able to eventually do, let's see if I can find it. When I get the next device to do it. And once I get everything recorded, then I'll be able to put in my own words and it'll come out in my own voice. So like, and to listen to it.
Welcome to Niki Gets Bored.
So that's my mechanical voice. It's my voice, but it tries to piece together each word you put in and to make a sentence. So it's interesting, and I've only recorded about 1,000 words, and it takes 3,500 to record everything. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working on that process, and eventually I'm going to get all the words down, all 3,500 of them, and then all sentences recorded. I'll be able to put in my own voice, which is fantastic. And I want to tell you more about the process, but that'll come in later episodes. So for now, have a wonderful day and love each other, and we'll see you next time.